Some significant breaking news in the aftermath of the World Cup final. You may well remember that brawl that followed the final whistle between Spain and Argentina. Unsavoury scenes in New York after the 1-0 win for Spain. And the FIFA Disciplinary Committee has imposed the following sanctions on players. Leandro Paredes has been given a 10-match suspension, a fine of $90,000.
The World Cup final may be over, but the drama surrounding Argentina is only getting heavier. After Spain's 1-0 victory, attention quickly shifted away from the trophy and toward what reportedly happened after the final whistle, with FIFA taking serious disciplinary action against several players and staff members. The biggest name in the spotlight is Leandro Paredes. He has reportedly been hit with a massive 10-match international suspension, along with a $90,000 fine. That kind of punishment could keep him out of Argentina's plans for a long stretch, and he is far from the only one dealing with consequences.
Nahuel Molina, a 7-match suspension, again, and a fine of $90,000 too. Thiago Almada, a 1-match suspension, a fine of $30,000. Roberto Ayala, who is now one of the team official members, has had a 3-match suspension and a fine of $30,000. And Pablo Martin Paez Gavira, a player in the squad, a 1-match suspension and a fine of $30,000.
Nahuel Molina has reportedly received a 7-match suspension and another $90,000 fine. Thiago Almada has been given a 1-match suspension and a $30,000 fine.
Also pertaining to Argentina, those are the players and coaches there, but you might also remember that players displayed a banner in relation to the Falkland Islands following the semi-final win over England, and there are numerous chants to that effect. Well, the Argentinian FA has been fined $321,000 American dollars for the following breaches: using a sports event for demonstrations of a non-sporting nature, team misconduct, discrimination and racist abuse in light of discriminatory chants and gestures by its supporters, and order and security at matches in breaches of the FIFA disciplinary code. And Argentina have been ordered to play its next 2 home matches with a limited number of spectators, 50%.
Argentina assistant coach Roberto Ayala has also reportedly been punished with a 3-match suspension and a $30,000 fine. And Spain did not completely dodge the disciplinary fallout either. Gavi has reportedly received a 1-match suspension and a $30,000 fine. So now the big question is, what went down after Spain beat Argentina 1-0? And why did the punishment get this serious? Spain had the trophy secured, and this should have been the moment when the celebrations took over. Instead, the mood reportedly flipped fast. Tensions between the players boiled over, heated arguments turned into confrontations, and the aftermath of football's biggest match suddenly became almost as talked about as the final itself. FIFA has now reportedly handed down its disciplinary verdict, and the consequences go way beyond individual players. The Argentine Football Association has reportedly been fined a total of $321,000, turning an already painful World Cup ending into an extremely costly one. But there's a key detail behind that massive number. The full $321,000 is reportedly not just punishment for the confrontation that followed the final whistle. Instead, that total covers several disciplinary issues linked to Argentina's World Cup campaign. In other words, the final may have been the biggest flashpoint, but FIFA's case reportedly stretches across multiple incidents from the tournament. So when people say Argentina paid $300,000 because of one fight, that doesn't tell the full story. The bigger picture involves several disciplinary issues, and that brings us straight back to another moment that had football fans digging for answers: that Argentina dressing room video. The footage showed Messi speaking to his teammates before the final, telling them to forget everything and focus on the match. That one message was enough to send the internet into detective mode. Forget what exactly? Had something happened behind closed doors? Was there tension between teammates? Was the squad dealing with some private issue nobody outside the room knew about? Social media quickly filled the gaps with theories. Some sounded possible, while others went completely off the rails. But there's one detail that cannot be ignored. There is no solid evidence showing that some secret dressing room fight caused Argentina's problems before the final. Whatever Messi meant, the online speculation moved much faster than the actual facts. Carlos McAllister later gave more context after speaking with his son, Alexis. and his explanation made the dressing room mystery sound far less dramatic. According to him, the discussion was about football: passing, movement, rotations, creating space, and controlling possession. So Messi's message may have been much simpler than the internet theories made it seem. Forget the pressure, forget the noise, forget everything happening around you, just play football. That idea makes plenty of sense when you think about the situation. Argentina's players were walking into a World Cup final with millions watching, an entire country expecting victory, and Lionel Messi beside them. One bad decision, one missed chance, or one mistake could become part of football history. In a moment like that, a captain doesn't need to pile even more pressure onto his teammates. He needs them calm, sharp, and locked in. Messi's words may simply have been his way of clearing their heads before the biggest match of their lives. But once the football ended, the mood reportedly changed completely. Spain won 1-0, Argentina watched the trophy slip away, and instead of the story stopping with the defeat, the confrontation after the final whistle opened up a whole new controversy. Now FIFA has reportedly stepped in with a message that couldn't be clearer. Battle for every ball, chase every goal, and give everything until the final second. But once that referee blows the final whistle, emotions still have to stay under control. Argentina are now facing some very expensive consequences from everything that reportedly unfolded around their World Cup campaign. But the biggest debate is still Leandro Paredes. Does a 10-match suspension really fit what happened? 10 international games is huge. That could keep a player away from his national team for a serious amount of time. Do you think FIFA got the punishment right, or did they take it too far? And then there's Gavi. He reportedly received just a one-match suspension, along with a $30,000 fine. Was that reasonable based on his involvement, or should his punishment have been stronger as well? This is where Argentina fans, Spain fans, and neutral football fans could have very different opinions.
And it's not like Spain cheated. It's not like Spain had done something near the end that allowed them. I mean, they dominated the entire 90 minutes. They dominated extra time. Argentina didn't even get a shot off in regulation time. So what are they whining about? And I've got to say also, you've got to look at Messi. Where was he?
The final whistle was supposed to end the drama. Instead, it may have opened the door to an even bigger controversy. FIFA has launched an official investigation involving Lionel Messi's Argentina following a final that descended into heated confrontations. Players and members of the coaching staff were caught up in physical incidents on the pitch, putting several Argentina players at risk of possible suspensions that could have consequences for the World Cup. And now, the timing of FIFA's move is raising serious questions. Is the governing body simply responding to evidence it believes requires disciplinary action, or is it also under pressure to show furious fans that Argentina will be treated like everyone else? There is no confirmed answer to that, and it would be unfair to claim FIFA's motive without evidence. What is clear is that Argentina's squad is suddenly facing a disciplinary situation that could become a major headache. The real danger for the players involved is the amount of footage available. These confrontations did not happen away from the cameras. Multiple angles appear to have captured key moments, giving investigators plenty to examine as they determine exactly who was involved and whether any rules were broken. That makes every shove, reaction, and heated exchange potentially important. To understand how things reached this point, we need to rewind to this final. We have already covered the wider match elsewhere, so there is no reason to replay every single moment. Instead, the focus here is on the atmosphere that surrounded these incidents and why tensions became so intense. From early on, this final looked less like a celebration of world football and more like a battle that kept boiling over. There were around 50 fouls and 5 yellow cards, while Argentina found it extremely difficult to create dangerous opportunities. By full time, they had failed to register a single shot on target. Spain, meanwhile, produced 12, creating a brutal statistical contrast in a match already packed with controversy. Argentina came into the match with a clear plan: disrupt Spain's rhythm, slow everything down, and make every possession uncomfortable. But deep into stoppage time, that aggressive approach finally came back to hurt them. Enzo Fernandez caught Spain defender Pau Kubasi with a high challenge and received his second yellow card. he was sent off, forcing Argentina to battle through the entire extra time period with only 10 players. The dismissal also made Enzo the first player sent off in a World Cup final since 2010. But the tension didn't disappear when the match ended. It got even messier. After the final whistle, several Argentina players collapsed onto the pitch in disappointment, including Lionel Messi. Spain's players, meanwhile, raced across the field celebrating their victory. That's when Nahuel Molina became involved in a moment that immediately grabbed attention and helped set off the confrontation that followed. As Rodri ran past, Nahuel Molina appeared to make contact with the Spain captain. Rodri wasn't letting that moment slide and quickly turned around to confront him. Within seconds, the situation went from a heated exchange to a much more serious confrontation. Eric Garcia moved in to back up his teammate, while Leandro Paredes then entered the scene. Footage appeared to show Paredes grabbing Garcia around the neck area before pushing him backward, giving investigators another key moment to examine from multiple camera angles. Instead of cooling down, the situation only got uglier. Paredes was soon caught up in another confrontation, this time involving Gavi, and both players ended up on the ground as bodies crowded into the scramble. Thiago Almada also entered the scene, while players from both sides rushed toward the chaos. And this wasn't just about the players on the pitch. Argentina assistant coach Roberto Ayala was also shown on the broadcast getting involved, with footage appearing to capture physical contact involving both Eric Garcia and Dani Olmo. Just a few steps away, Nicolas Otamendi and Rodri were exchanging heated words as tempers kept rising. Argentina manager Lionel Scaloni then rushed toward the confrontation and appeared to be trying to pull his own players away before things got even more out of control. The reaction from the BBC broadcast was fierce. Joe Hart described what he was watching as disgusting behavior. Alan Shearer was equally critical, saying Paredes appeared to throw 2 or 3 haymakers during the confrontation. Spain had just captured the biggest prize in world football, yet almost instantly, attention shifted from the trophy to the wild scenes unfolding after the final whistle. FIFA was suddenly facing serious pressure to address what had been captured on camera. On Monday, the organization confirmed that a formal disciplinary investigation had been opened. FIFA appointed what it describes as a disciplinary and ethics prosecutor under Article 36 of its code, meaning the incidents, footage, and actions of those involved will now face official scrutiny. Now the official process kicks into gear. In simple terms, an investigator will dig through the referee's report, official match records, and every useful camera angle before deciding whether disciplinary action is justified and exactly who could face it. Reports have linked Nahuel Molina, Leandro Paredes, Thiago Almada, and assistant coach Roberto Ayala to the investigation, and Ayala's reported involvement could make this case even more serious. Players losing their cool after an emotional final is one thing. A member of the coaching staff allegedly getting physically involved is a completely different problem. If investigators determine that the footage supports claims of an assistant coach making physical contact with opposition players, attention could quickly move beyond individual players. It could also raise uncomfortable questions for the Argentine Football Association about what happened around its bench during those chaotic scenes. Paredes is expected to remain right in the middle of the investigation because of the reported incidents involving Eric Garcia and Gavi. But investigators aren't simply looking at one heated moment and calling it a day. They are expected to examine the actions of several people, including those on the pitch and around the bench, before deciding whether anyone crossed the disciplinary line. And here's where the stakes get much bigger. FIFA's review isn't restricted to possible violent conduct. Article 13 of the FIFA Disciplinary Code also covers offensive behavior, fair play, and conduct that could damage the reputation of football. If investigators establish that violations occurred, possible sanctions can apply across FIFA competitions worldwide. That means any punishment could carry consequences well beyond this one controversial final and become a serious issue heading into future international matches. At this point, the fallout has moved way beyond a heated ending to a World Cup final. FIFA is now considering whether members of the losing finalists could face suspensions that follow them into future competitions. But there's another strange detail that has people talking. During the confrontation involving Leandro Paredes and Eric Garcia, the referee system briefly showed that Paredes had been given a red card. Then, things got confusing. Not long afterward, the red card disappeared from the display, and FIFA later confirmed that no red card had officially been issued during the incident. Naturally, viewers immediately started asking questions. They had seen the dismissal appear on screen, only for it to vanish from the official record. Was it simply a technical mistake, a communication mix-up, or something else? Without confirmed evidence, anything beyond those possibilities would only be speculation. For fans who had been watching the tournament closely, the moment quickly became another major controversy surrounding the final. The footage showed a heated confrontation, the graphic appeared to indicate a sending off, and then there was no red card in the official record. Whatever ultimately caused that sequence, it created serious confusion and put even more attention on how the officials managed an already chaotic match. Now that FIFA is reviewing what happened, that bizarre red card moment is likely to remain under the microscope. Now FIFA has to examine something that happened after the final whistle and wasn't punished on the field at the time. But Argentina's disciplinary problems don't stop there. A completely separate FIFA inquiry is also underway following the semi-final victory over England. During Argentina's celebrations, supporters brought a banner into Atlanta Stadium reading "Las Malvinas son Argentinas," translated as "The Falklands are Argentine," and its appearance around the team quickly became another major talking point. FIFA's regulations restrict political messages involving players and teams during official competitions, so the organization has already begun reviewing that incident separately. Reports say Cristian Romero, Giovanni Lo Celso, and Lisandro Martinez are among the players being examined over the display of the banner. The Argentine Football Association could also potentially face disciplinary action, including a financial penalty, depending on what investigators ultimately establish. So Argentina isn't dealing with one FIFA headache from this tournament, it's dealing with two separate investigations at the same time. One centers on the chaotic confrontations following the final, while the other concerns the political banner displayed after the semi-final. Put those cases side by side, and suddenly the disciplinary picture becomes much bigger. Still, each allegation needs to be judged on its own evidence and full context, rather than assuming guilt before FIFA completes its review. There's another angle investigators and critics may consider: whether these incidents are isolated or fit into a wider pattern of previous controversies. Critics have already pointed back to moments involving members of this Argentina squad. After the 2022 World Cup triumph, Emiliano Martinez's Golden Glove celebration attracted widespread attention, along with chants directed at Kylian Mbappé during Argentina's celebrations. Then came another controversy after Argentina won the 2024 Copa America. Enzo Fernandez publicly apologized after sharing a video containing a squad chant that the French Football Federation criticized as discriminatory. Those earlier incidents don't prove anything about the current investigations, but they help explain why the latest controversies are attracting such intense scrutiny. And there are more disciplinary incidents sitting in the background. In 2024, Emiliano Martinez received a 2-match suspension for offensive behavior during World Cup qualifying after repeating a controversial celebration and making contact with a broadcast camera using his gloves. The banner displayed during this tournament has also brought old political controversies involving Argentina back into the spotlight. Each incident can be debated separately, but stacked together, they're likely to attract much closer attention as FIFA examines the wider context surrounding these latest cases. That's where the argument gets more complicated. Some observers believe these controversies point to a recurring pattern rather than a handful of unrelated moments. Others may see them as completely separate incidents that should be judged individually. That distinction matters because FIFA can consider conduct that damages the reputation of the sport. But even if violations are established, there's still one massive question hanging over everything. How serious would the punishment actually be? Looking at FIFA's previous disciplinary decisions involving Argentina gives us some clues, although it doesn't guarantee the same outcome this time. After the 2022 World Cup final, FIFA examined several incidents involving Argentina, including Emiliano Martinez's controversial Golden Glove celebration and post-match behavior directed at Kylian Mbappé. The eventual punishment was a financial penalty reported at around £18,000, roughly $23,000. While no individual player suspensions were handed down, for a national federation, critics viewed that fine as relatively minor. And there's an even more relevant precedent involving the Falklands banner. Argentina was fined around £20,000 after displaying the same message before a friendly in 2014. Critics argue that punishment clearly wasn't enough to prevent a similar controversy from resurfacing years later. Based on those previous cases, some observers expect FIFA could again choose limited suspensions, financial penalties, or a mixture of both. But with two separate investigations now attracting attention, whether FIFA follows that familiar path or takes a tougher approach is exactly what people will be watching. But FIFA's history also shows that the punishment can get much heavier when officials believe the circumstances demand it. Former Spanish Football Federation President Luis Rubiales received a 3-year ban from football following the incident at the Women's World Cup. Then there's the infamous case involving Luis Suarez, who was suspended for 4 months after biting an opponent during the 2014 World Cup. That punishment even carried into his club career, forcing him to miss the opening months of the season. So, FIFA has plenty of disciplinary tools available when a case is considered serious enough. And FIFA isn't the only governing body willing to hand out meaningful sanctions. UEFA suspended Spain's Alvaro Morata and Rodri for 1 match each over chance of Gibraltar is Spanish during the European Championship celebrations. That case is especially interesting given the separate banner investigation surrounding Argentina. It doesn't mean FIFA will reach the same conclusion, but it shows that political controversies connected to post-tournament celebrations can result in players being suspended. Anyone expecting a quick verdict could be waiting for some time. FIFA hasn't announced a deadline for the prosecutor's report, and disciplinary investigations like this can drag on while officials review footage, reports, and other evidence. Earlier this year, UEFA dealt with a comparable disciplinary matter that took more than 2 months before a 6-match suspension was eventually issued. Argentina's situation could therefore remain hanging over the squad for quite a while. And that uncertainty creates serious pressure on both sides. Argentina won't know exactly which players, if any, could be unavailable in future matches, while FIFA knows its eventual decision will be picked apart from every direction. Supporters and media will be watching closely to see whether the rules are applied consistently, regardless of the names or team involved. With some of world football's biggest figures caught up in the wider story, whatever FIFA ultimately decides is almost guaranteed to face intense scrutiny. There's another part of this story that has people talking. None of the main figures linked to the post-match confrontation has publicly apologized for the incident itself. Leandro Paredes later posted a lengthy message to Argentina supporters, talking about his pride in the squad, thanking the fans, and describing it as an honor to represent what he called the greatest Argentina team in history. He wrote, "Thank you, Argentina. I love you today and always." But there was no direct mention of the confrontation that erupted after the final whistle. Enzo Fernandez, whose red card forced Argentina to play the entire extra time period with 10 men, also broke his silence after the final. His message focused on the heartbreak of losing and what representing Argentina meant to him, writing, "Wearing the jersey is the greatest honor of my career." But just like several of his teammates, he didn't directly discuss his dismissal or the incidents now being examined. Christian Romero, reportedly among those being looked at over the banner, also posted about disappointment, commitment, and moving forward. The pattern across those messages was hard to miss. They were packed with pride, resilience, and love for Argentina, while the disciplinary controversy stayed out of the conversation. That doesn't prove anything about the incidents themselves, and players aren't required to publicly discuss an ongoing investigation. Still, many observers noticed that the confrontation's dominating headlines were completely absent from their public statements. Instead, the players kept the spotlight on their effort, the painful defeat, and the supporters who backed them throughout the tournament. There is another side that deserves consideration. Losing a World Cup final after an intense 120-minute battle brings enormous emotion, and tensions were clearly sky high when the whistle went. Lionel Scaloni was actually seen attempting to separate players and calm things down rather than adding to the confrontation. That context could matter when investigators review exactly how the situation developed. But intense emotions don't automatically settle the disciplinary question. FIFA still has to determine whether certain actions were simply heated reactions in the moment or crossed the line into conduct that deserves punishment. And that's where this entire saga stands right now. Argentina entered the World Cup trying to defend its crown, but after the final, the headline shifted dramatically from what happened with the ball to what happened around the players. The team is now caught up in two separate FIFA investigations. One examining the post-match confrontations, and another concerning the banner displayed following the semi-final. Possible player suspensions, financial penalties, or other disciplinary measures remain on the table, but nothing should be treated as decided until FIFA completes its process. The evidence, official reports, and applicable rules will ultimately determine what happens next. With major names involved and questions still unanswered, the final ruling could shape the conversation around Argentina long after the tournament itself is over. This story isn't finished yet, because the decisions that matter most are still coming. Argentina now has to wait and see whether these investigations bring player suspensions, financial penalties, or other disciplinary action. At the same time, FIFA is under serious pressure to prove that the same rules apply no matter how big the team or the players involved might be. Spain walked away with the trophy, but now the spotlight is locked on the investigations, the evidence, and what FIFA decides to do next. So what do you think should happen? If the evidence supports disciplinary action, should FIFA come down hard with major suspensions? Or would that be going too far after Argentina already suffered the heartbreak of losing the World Cup final? Drop your opinion in the comments. This case has already divided football fans, and there are plenty of different views about where FIFA should draw the line. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, share it with another football fan, and subscribe to Matchio for more stories like this. Turn on notifications as well, because when FIFA releases its official findings, we'll break down exactly what happened, who gets punished, and what any suspensions, fines, or other consequences could mean going forward. We also cover the biggest football controversies, transfer drama, behind-the-scenes stories, and all the moments that get the football world talking. So if that's the content you want to see, subscribe to Matchio and stick around. Thanks for watching and for supporting Matchio. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.